am here with Women in Training, which is a nonprofit organization that was founded several years ago by two dynamic young ladies out of Montgomery, Alabama, to bring attention to an issue that we don't really think about, but it's called period poverty. Lots of girls are in situations around the globe where they are each month having to miss school, sometimes having to miss work because they don't have menstrual supplies. So Women in Training is here today giving out free kits that have sanitary supplies, they have hygiene items, and we also have a live DJ, we have food, and we're just here to bring the community together around an issue that is near and dear to our hearts as women, helping young girls mature into young ladies in a healthy and whole way. So I am here as a part of Nature's Garden for Victory and Peace, assisting and collaborating with Women in Training.
Now that menstrual period catches a lot of girls completely off guard and scares them out of their wits when parents don't know how to brief them properly on what is going to happen to them. Am I right?
That is absolutely correct. That's one of the things that Women in Training does, is to educate not only young girls but also parents about how to do that. A lot of times the parents, like you say, just don't have the skills or the tools to do that well. And so one of the things that is lacking in our communities, you've heard me say it many times, is rites of passage that are designed to navigate the space between girlhood and womanhood, that adolescent period that can be so tumultuous for our children. So that is a part of what Women in Training is doing.
Now, is there any justifiable reason why this is not taught in schools with the elementary girls coming up into their puberty?
You know, we used to have, and I'm not sure what is going on now, but when I was in school, and that's been many moons ago, we did have health classes that did, you know, teach us those things. But it's no substitute for having grandmas and mamas and aunties at home who can talk to girls one-on-one.
I serve on the Women in Training's Board of Trustees, or Board of Directors, more affectionately known to us. And I am thrilled to be out here on the square of Tuskegee on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. So we have what we're calling a Positive Period Festival. It's actually our rain out date. Initially it was planned on National Period Day during the month of April. But as a result, we're here today just the same. And what we're trying to do, we're simply trying to bring awareness to the fact that there are many young girls, young ladies, and women and individuals who identify themselves as girls, ladies, and women who don't have access to regular monthly supplies that are necessary for taking care of themselves during their menstrual cycle. And we recognize that poverty can and does occur anywhere and everywhere, and particularly during the pandemic. So many individuals, students in particular, that is our target group, students who are in middle school and in the earlier years of high school. So many of those students have not had access to many things because they haven't been in school. So we are out here, hopefully now that school is winding down. Some have gone back to school, and we recognize that they're going to be approaching the summer vacation. We realize that today is graduation day for many schools as well. So we want to just jumpstart their summer and make sure that they have supplies to get them going for the summer months.
Now, does your organization do a newsletter or publish bulletins or anything to bring the community up to snuff on what you're doing?
Absolutely. So newsletters and bulletins, I tell you, that's what I typically look for because I'm straight up old school. But the Women in Training, they have a huge social media platform. So it is womenintraining.org. That is the website. Or you can simply find them on IG, Instagram, as well as on Facebook. So just in the search engine, put in Women in Training. So no newsletters, no bulletins, but I tell you, if you go to IG or Facebook, you'll find Women in Training and everything that's happening, all the past events, all the past awards, as well as our upcoming calendar that we post on a monthly basis, which lists every event.
What do you need from the community as an organization?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, your support, and that can come in many forms and fashions. Support don't cost you anything to go to one of those sites right now on IG, Instagram, or on Facebook and simply hit the like button. That doesn't cost you anything. That's our support, because we have metrics that we track, like any organization, like any influencer, that is linked to the number of followers and the number of likes. So that doesn't cost you anything. But other than that, we'd welcome you to come out today to the square in Tuskegee. If you're in Macon County, anywhere surrounding areas on this beautiful day, as I said, stop by, find out more about the organization in person. But most of all, you can grab a kit. We have about 100 that we're trying to give away. You can grab a hot dog, Be Frank. I can't say the name because they're not supporting us today, but it's 100% Be Frank. Chips, a soda, Coke or Sprite, and of course some water. Other than that, on our Facebook page, on our website, you can find a link there to provide an actual monetary donation, which is tax deductible.
Well, what is your recommendations to young girls who are stuck in families that are not quite knowledgeable or cannot articulate good health care habits?
Yeah.
What's your advice to young girls who stuck in a situation like that? Who should they talk to, or should they be talking to anybody?
Yeah, I would suggest that they talk to that school counselor. That's a start. And that school counselor can then in turn bring their grown-up in, whether it's a parent, whether it's a grandparent, whether it's an aunt, perhaps even an uncle. Whoever that grown-up is that lives in their home, that school counselor can reach out to them and bring them in. Because sometimes, as you said, if they don't know what to say, trust and believe that, we hope and pray, that that grown-up that's in the school or the professional that's in the school will know the words in terms of how to be that bridge to connect the child, the student, to their grown-up in the home. So that's the start. I'd suggest they reach out to that school counselor.
In our WIC kits, we have plenty of things. We have menstrual pads, which is the most important hygiene product that we are advertising, that we're giving out. We have toothbrush. We have toothpaste. We have deodorant. We have floss. We have shampoo. We have conditioner as well.
Boy, that's a handy little bag, huh? You can get healthy going down into that little bag.
I know. And we have socks that we also include in the WIC kits, as well as hand sanitizer. They also get a little notepad, and they get a bracelet as well. And then they get a pamphlet also in regards to what WIT is about. And that's what is included in our WIC kits that we're giving out today.
Okay,
so
now,
lots of goodies.
And what's the history of your organization?
Well, with the history of WIC, this was founded by two young girls, Brooke and Brianna, and they saw that there was a need for women, and especially young girls, who were without menstrual products. And so this is very important in our community because a lot of girls, unfortunately, may attend schools and may be at home without these products. And so they decided to start this organization in regards to helping those with needs for menstrual products and any other hygiene products as well.
So those 9 granddaughters are the impetus for me doing what I do on behalf of girls everywhere. What we did today, I wish we had had a larger turnout, but I'm grateful for the young ladies who did come and who were able to receive their WIC kits. And we look forward to Women in Training being back in Tuskegee and doing bigger and better things with the young women in the community. So I feel good today.
So I'm going to take a different angle. I'm a mother, but I'm a mother of a son who will soon be 20 years young, blessed to have been around the sun 20 years, and blessed to have been a mom around the sun. And though I have nieces, and I think it's important for us to recognize that we have to do our part to, first of all, be the best examples that we can be so that the young ladies out there can hopefully model those better behaviors, which is about benevolence. And to me, the size may have been small, but it really doesn't matter if we were able to impact just one of the few that came.
Absolutely.
So that's really all that matters, and hopefully that seed can be planted and will grow and blossom, and it just may impact a young lady to be a stronger woman one day for my son.
Hi, so I am a daughter. I feel that on today it was great to come back and give within the community of Tuskegee. I think it's very important to continue to spread the knowledge and word about why we should continue to give back, especially to women in need who don't have access in order to obtain some of these products that we were giving out today. So I think it's awesome that we came out and we were able to fellowship amongst other young ladies and other older women and just be able to continue to give back to the community.
Moon celebration for the daughters in the WIT, or the Women in Training Rites of Passage Circle. We've been together since January, and we will be get together until December, studying African culture, studying womanism, studying about our culture, our history, our traditions, and how they can apply in the modern society today and help us have a balanced life. So this is about the midpoint. This is about the midpoint since the time we started, and we're specifically celebrating the menses. This is what makes women unique and special. Our uterus is able to give birth to every man, any woman, any child, any nation. So there's a lot of power in our uterus, and we're celebrating that process today.
Why do you feel that it's necessary?
We live in America, we live in the New World, in the African diaspora, as I like to call it, and we've forgotten how to be women, how to be girls, how to be really even humane people. We have become, obviously, through the enslavement process and the lynching process and all that we have suffered in this country, we have lost touch deliberately. We have actually been deliberately separated from our traditions, and we need to be reconnected with our traditions so that we can be whole people again. But specifically for women, here in Alabama, we have a 51% dropout rate of high school students. We have girls as young as age 11, according to statistics. Girls as young as age 11 are sexually active. And obviously at that age also beginning to have children, because once you're sexually active, you can have children. Mm-hmm. And obviously at age 11, maybe in a different time and a different place, that was good because you had the entire community to support you. But at this time and this place, obviously that is not a healthy choice.
Describe your organization for me and give me the history.
Okay. The name of the organization is Women in Training, Inc. This program, though, is a collaboration between Women in Training, or WIT, as well as Nature's Garden for Victory and Peace, and the Alabama Indigenous Coalition. So there are three organizations who run the Rites of Passage program. Women in Training is the umbrella organization. Okay. And that was started by twins, 12-year-olds, well, they're now 13. They were started by twin girls, Brianna and Brooke Bennett, in January of the year that they were to turn 12. I kept hearing them talk about what they want to do when they turn 12. That God will be women. And they really think they are. And we're going to change the world. We're going to build houses for all the homeless people. We're going to feed all the hungry children, like 3 meals a day. We're going to build more schools and properly educate the children. And they had all these huge plans of how they're going to, but they couldn't agree on which one. Okay. Because I told them, all this sounds good. Why don't you choose one? Right. So the problem is agreeing on the one. Brianna, who's the dominant of the twins, really was the one insisting on something huge. Like, we're turning 12 and we got to do something huge. And Brooke, who is much more subtle, says, why don't we do something like that's a bit manageable? Like, when we go to school with Mommy, we always see girls come to her room to get menstrual pads. So that means that they don't have them. If they're asking Mommy for them all the time, they don't have them. Right. And, since they were born, I was an educator. So they've seen this in schools in the United Arab Emirates. They've seen this in schools in Miami. Well, in Miami, I particularly worked at an all-girls school. Also in the United Arab Emirates, I worked in an all-girls school. So they saw it a lot. But even here in Alabama, I worked at a Title I low-income school. And there, girls were as young as first grade were having their menstrual cycle. And they did not know how to care for themselves. Because, of course, at 6 years old, how could you know how to take care of yourself in that way? And so I was known as the person who would have supplies. So Brooke's like, we see that. So we know that Mommy's addressing it wherever she goes. But there are lots of other girls who she'll never meet. So why don't we create a program to broaden it? And Brianna did not agree, because, as you know, she wanted to do something huge and global. Her whole thing was global. Mm-hmm. We're going to do the world, and we're going to make an impact that's going to transform everything. And she couldn't understand how that would transform everything. And then she watched a YouTube video about a woman who had been released from prison, and the reporter asked her, what was the worst part about being in prison? And she said, oh, the whole experience was horrible. The food, being locked up, not having my freedom, being in fights all the time, being raped, the whole thing was so. But she said the most humiliating part was every month when I had my period, I had to take sheets and pillowcases or towels, whatever I can get, and cut them up to make pads. And for me, that was the most humiliating part of being in prison. And Brianna, tough, rough, with her Afro puffs, Brianna, with her dreadlocks, Brianna broke down in tears. She cried and she cried and she cried. And she said, oh my God, Brooke, now I understand why you want to address this issue of period poverty.
Took God to do it, huh?
Yeah. Who would think that YouTube? And a woman who was out from prison. Brooke's like, you weren't moved by the first graders with blood on their clothes. You weren't moved by middle school students who are missing school. Because what happens like when girls are cramping, one thing, but cramping sometimes comes from using makeshift products and from wearing them too long. Then they get infections, and then they start cramping, and then this is a whole ripple effect. So then they miss school. So researchers found that that 20% of American girls are missing school because they don't have the product they need every month. So they're missing school. If they have jobs, they're missing their jobs. And so none of that was moving Brianna, but this woman in prison moved her. So they agreed. So by this time, it is July, and their birthday is in July. And Brianna had recently won an award for a film that she made called Architects of Change, a film that they made called Architects of Change. And she had won a $1,000 prize from Prudential Financial. And she said that she would use some of that money to get us started. So it was like $400 to do the paperwork to have an organization, because they wanted to have a formal organization. So that took about almost half of the money she had raised. And then we did a Facebook fundraiser. We told everybody for their birthday, instead of giving them gifts, they wanted money or supplies to provide menstrual products. And the goal was and they selected a group. They selected a group of girls called New Beginnings Educational Center. It's an after-school program, and most of the girls live in a public housing project in Montgomery. So they selected these 25 girls, and so they estimated that they're going to give about $200. And so I did the Facebook fundraiser, and in a few days we raised $2,000. Like, people really responded, particularly women, but even men who grew up around sisters or who were very close to their mothers. Even some men understood the issue, but obviously women all understood the issue. And we quickly raised the $2,000. They're like, oh my God, we have so much money. Brianna's like, well, now we're going to do more than pads, because everything has to be big for her. And so she says, oh, if you don't have pads, you don't have soap. She said, I know they don't have soap because I'm around them. So they probably don't have soap, they don't have deodorant, they don't have shampoo, conditioner, and hair cream, lotion. And she says, they had not even started their period yet at this point. And she says, I bet that when you're in your period, you want your feet to be warm and fuzzy. Warm and cozy. So she said, we need to put fuzzy socks in. And then she said, for me, the most important thing is I don't want these girls to feel like it's charity. I want them to feel like it's one friend giving to another friend. And so we're going to make bracelets. We're going to take the time to put something from our heart. And they're going to make bracelets. So they make these bracelets. Each bracelet has a butterfly on it, because that's their logo. And that they created when they were 3 or 4. And at the time, the logo is red, green, and yellow. The logo is red, green, and yellow. And at the time, it was just intuitive. Now, Brianna, the global one, has figured out, she's like, that's too much like the flag of Jamaica, Ethiopia, and just even the black nationalist flag. I don't want us to be just limited to those cultures. I want this to be global, so we need to change the logo. So the bags are those bags there. They're canvas bags, branded canvas bags, and they filled them up. And so we gave them to the first 25 girls. Can I tell you a little bit about why those girls?
Yes, ma'am.
So why those girls? Why New Beginnings? When we first moved to Alabama in 2017, right, 2017, we went to Dexter Avenue, King Memorial Baptist Church, and my husband announced that it was the girls' birthday. It was their 11th birthday.
Okay.
Or 10th birthday. 10th birthday. It was their 10th birthday. My husband announced it was their 10th birthday. So a group of girls came over and says, oh, what are y'all doing? Where's the party? And we're like, we literally just moved here. There's no party. We don't know anybody. We're trying to unpack. We're trying to settle down. There will be no party. And one of them says, well, just let me have your address. And I gave it to her, thinking, oh, that's sweet, but nothing's going to amount to it. A couple hours later, knock, knock, knock on the door. We open the door. It's those girls.
Whoa.
It is those girls. With a leader, an young adult leader. Mm-hmm. They brought cake, ice cream, balloons, candles, gifts, pizza, soda.
Wow.
We had a blast because Brianna and Brooke had been very sad, like, oh my God, we're not going to have a party. And part of why we weren't having a party is, one, we didn't know anybody, but two, we used a lot of money to move. Right. From Florida, so we didn't have the money for a party, on top of not knowing anybody. And so they actually were a little melancholy that day. But those girls came and lit them up and made them so happy. We found out later that the girls mostly lived in public housing projects. We didn't know that at the time, that these were poor girls. But these poor girls...
But big hearts, huh?
That's it. They put their money together to make these strangers happy.
Oh, wow.
I mean, my daughters, to this day, that's 4 years ago, and to this day they talk about that love that nobody has, I'm sure, I hope that I do, but to them, nobody's ever shown that kind of love to them. Mm-hmm. And that actually has inspired them, because they're like, if those girls who have nothing can put their coins together and do that for us, then we certainly can put what we have together and do something for other girls. So that's the group that they chose. So it's supposed to be just a one-time nice event, and it was a very nice event.
Beautiful.
And everybody was happy. Everybody's like, oh my God, nice, a whole pack of pads. Like a whole pack to myself. Because I will tell you from my childhood, I have 5 sisters. And, when I got my cycle, I'm the 4th girl. And so 4 of us were sharing one set of pads. And there were months when I had to wrap up my pads and save them for the next month. I'm telling you the truth. Mm-hmm. And I am not alone. There were months when I had to just use toilet paper, socks, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I am not alone. This was not unique to me. So they were excited to get a whole pack of pads. Like, wow, always pads. Good stuff, too. Not the dollar store stuff. It was like good stuff, because Brianna's our quality control. Mm-hmm. Even though this was Brooke's idea, Brianna takes care of the details. So she makes sure that everything is top quality. She said, I'm not going to give anybody anything that I wouldn't use.
Absolutely.
So the stuff is good.
All right.
So, but then the media came to cover it, because a school board member, we invited a school board member, Mrs. Claudia Mitchell, to be a part of it in Montgomery. And because of her, the media came. Mm-hmm. She's a school board vice president, in fact. And so the school board came and covered it. Our phone has not stopped ringing from people saying, my group needs this, my group this. So we started off from 25 a month, and at this point we're doing 500 a month. And that's just people who happen to see that broadcast. last year their class went to their 7th grade class went to the Alabama legislature for a day, and I went too. I went with them. I took the day off from work and I went, and Brooke and Brianna were so quiet. All the other kids were asking questions and interacting and like acting like intelligent children. I said, and Brianna and Brooke said nothing. And I said, God, at home you two never stop. But you get there and you don't say a word. And Brooke's like, I can't speak for Brianna. But the whole time I was strategizing, how are we going to get a bill passed so that the school systems are providing these pads for these girls every month?
Whoa.
Yes.
That's deep.
Yeah, that is deep. She's quiet but powerful. So we happened to mention this to a friend of ours, Jenna King Shepherd, and she said, oh, I know a legislator who would love to do that, Representative Rolanda Hollis from Birmingham. And we're like, but we live in Montgomery. She goes, don't matter. Don't matter. She will be the one. So we went, an appointment. She said, yes, I'll see them. I mean, this woman was so gracious. She took like an hour to sit with those girls to talk about the legislative process, how difficult it's going to be. It's mostly men. Sorry to say, it's mostly white men. It's mostly rich white men. It's mostly Republican men, and they're not going to believe in your cause. But if you're prepared to be patient and to fight, I will be your person. I will introduce a bill. And she did. So that same year, she introduced a bill. So that was 2020. She introduced the bill, but then COVID hit. And so the bill didn't go anywhere because of COVID. They stopped meeting. The session ended abruptly. And then this year, to 2021, Rolanda Hollis brought it up again. And it was a long process, a lot of meetings and negotiating. And Brooke took a day off from school to go and speak in front of the House Ways and Means Education Committee. And Brooke's like, I was so scared. I didn't know what to say. I gave her some notes, but she's like, I don't really know what to say. But because she said, I looked up and it was like, all these men, they're not going to understand. But she said, I'm going to just speak from my heart. And she did. And she explained the need that there are girls missing school. She focused on that because this is the education committee. There are girls missing school every month. There are girls missing an entire week of school because they don't have tampons or sanitary pads. And that's not right. She's like, we live in America. That's not right. Wow. Girls should have what they need, and the government should be providing it. It's a health care issue. And they voted unanimously to pass it on to the main house. And it got to the main house, and they voted unanimously. And but then there was only one day left in the session for the Senate, and the Senate had a lot of huge bills, and they didn't address it in that last day. But what they did, and we received a copy of it, we received the original of it just today, is the entire House and Senate passed a resolution saying that this is an issue that has been brought to their attention. They were not aware of the issue. They intend to address the issue in the next session. All of this is in the resolution. And, I should have brought a copy. I should have brought it. It's in...
Do you know the number or the
88,
title?
House Bill 88.
Okay.
And, sure, you can find it online. Everything's available online. And that they are hereby advising all school superintendents to start addressing the issue in their individual schools, providing period products for all girls who need them.
And I guess your girls are just beside themselves.
Yeah, so today,
right?
The reason why we were late getting here is Representative Hollis invited them to Birmingham. She had an event called Beautiful Women in Hats, so we all were in hats. And in front of all these women, she talked about them and how at such a young age they were so passionate about this issue, how they brought it to her attention, and they call her, they write her text like, what's up? What's going on? We haven't heard from you.
All right.
Now, it's kind of hard. The mic is kind of difficult through the mask. God's grace, peace, and light, young daughters and Queen Mother Mujah and sisters. So this evening, we are gathered here on a blessed, blessed day in nature to celebrate these beautiful daughters. I am Dr. Stephanie McCorvey. I have been voluntold to serve as, I guess, what is considered a mistress of ceremony. I do not have any jokes. I will just be quickly waiting to pick more greens from Queen Mother Mujah's garden, so I'll get through this as quickly as we can. I will be introducing to the stage next Queen Mother Mujah Shakur, Dr. Shakur, who will provide the welcome, and she will be followed by the beautiful Reverend Jaquetta Parhams, who will then do the pouring of the libations. So if we could please welcome Dr. Shakur to the stage.
Everyone. Welcome to Nature's Garden for Victory and Peace. Just a little bit about it. We are a community development model. We seek to create living spaces here. We host different types of learning experiences here. We want to create a model community like the ones that we used to have. You know, when the people said that they didn't have to lock the doors, where you could borrow a cup of sugar, those kinds of things. But even more than that, we want all of us to be able to reach our fullest potential. And that is what Nature's Garden for Victory and Peace is all about. So I just want to welcome you here. We want everybody to have a good time, to feel at home. And let's get this party going.
Brianna likewise said, obviously the girls were giving these products to our poor. That's why they need us, right? Because they're poor. And so when we have these menstrual education programs, the mothers and the grandmothers and aunties sometimes come. And they're just as, some of them are just as unaware as the girls about the simple biology of the reproductive system. There are adult women saying things like, I haven't had a period in 3 months. You think I'm sick? You think I have cancer? And Dr. LaToya Clark, who's our board president, is like, have you been sexually active? Oh, once or twice. Okay, have you tried taking a pregnancy test? No, I'm not pregnant. I'm not vomiting. I'm not pregnant. It's like, if you have sex and you're fertile, the possibility always exists. If you're not using protection, the possibility exists that you can get pregnant. So Brianna's like, these mothers and grandmothers and aunties who should be teaching the girls need help too.
Yeah, a lot of them don't even know how to articulate to the young people, right?
They do not. So we've seen this firsthand because we have the menstrual education program. So we see that firsthand.
Okay.
So Brianna's like, we need to get these girls out of this limited situation and expose them to a bigger world, because that's her thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we started to that, and we started 2 programs. We started the WIT Rites of Passage program, which is what we're doing here today. Okay. And so the Rites of Passage program is to teach them, like, we didn't just drop here. A stork did not bring us from Africa here. Like, there was a process. Right. This is a process I brought here. So teaching them about that process. How did we get to be here? Why are we here? Why are we impoverished? Why are we undereducated? Why are we miseducated? Like, all these things are systemic. They're not by happenstance. Yeah. Why are we living in substandard housing? Why don't we get proper medical care? Why do we get food at expensive prices that are worthless, that have no nutritional value? So all these things we're studying in the Rites of Passage program, which is specifically for BIPOC girls, Black, Indigenous, people of color. So those girls can be in it. So the girls in the program are Black, they're Native American, Hispanic, and they come from various parts of Alabama. And then the second program, which is the one that Brianna loves more, is the WIT Leadership Development Program. WIT Leadership Development Circle. And in that, there are 16 girls, all from the Montgomery area, near Montgomery. And these are actually all high-achieving girls. To begin with, it was an application process. For that program, was an application process. And so the girls who applied were already high achievers. They probably would have been just fine. But we're taking them to another level. So we take them to Auburn University of Montgomery and have professors there. Excuse me, I apologize. We could take them to Auburn University of Montgomery, and we had a professor there, Dr. Brianne Smith, do a day-long workshop on financial literacy. And they're like, we don't have jobs. But she goes, you're 15, 16, 17, you will be getting jobs, or you should be getting jobs soon. And you need to know how to read your paycheck. And you need to know how to save a portion of it. You're not going to spend every dime you make. You're going to save a portion of that. Imagine if somebody had taught us that at 13.
Absolutely.
I would be a different person today if somebody had taught me that at 13. And now I'm already in the habit of just spending everything I make. I get it, I spend it, I get it, I spend it. But she's telling the importance, she spent a long time emphasizing the importance of saving. If it's $1, you save that dollar. And it will build, and she talked about interest rate. You know, we've taken them to Rosa Parks Museum and had women from the community talk about community development and community building and curiosity. You need to be curious about the things around you. You need to ask questions like, why this, why that? Why do we live there and other people live there? Why are their houses so much bigger? Why are their neighborhoods so much cleaner? Why are their schools so much better? Why are their hospitals more efficient? And ask questions and then find solutions. So I was thrilled to learn one of our board members went to the graduation ceremony for LAMP, which is a top high achieving minded program. And everybody there has to present a project that they want to solve as part of their graduation. And a whole group of girls got together and had solving period poverty as their project, and gave reference to Brianna and Brooke and Women in Training. So that was really good.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so what else? Rosa Parks Museum. Our next program with that group is going to be at a woman's house. And we're just going to go and chill at this woman's house. I chose her because she's wealthy. She's one of our donors. She has a big house. And it's like, you know, now you're going to see the inside. Because you drive by and you see the outside. But now you're going to see the inside of what these houses are like. And for the point of aspiring, what am I going to do to get out of this 2-bedroom project to get into a 5-bedroom, practically mansion?
Will you? Absolutely. Greetings. Most of you, I believe all of you, have experienced a libation ritual before, but if there's anyone here who has not, I would like to explain the elements we're using. We're using fire. The candle is lit. You can't really see it, but it's lit. And the candle represents that life that's inside all of us. It flows through we're using frankincense, which is a ritualistic mineral that comes from Northeast Africa primarily. And it's used to raise our energies. It's used to help us reach a meditative state so that we become closer to God. And we also have the water, which represents our blood. It's another aspect of life. Without water, nothing on the planet would exist. And we add it to the earth, out of which everything was made. So, we pour libation to honor the ancestors on whose shoulders we stand. If it had not been for them, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be able to celebrate. We wouldn't be able to gather. There was a time when it was illegal for 2 or more of us to gather at one time. So I couldn't stop Umi Yabode and have a conversation. It was illegal. So people fought, people died so that we would have what we have today. So we honor them. But first, we honor the Creator. So to the Creator, we pour libation and we respond with Ashe. We pour libation to those first 2 ancestors out of whose loins everyone came. We have different names for them. To those first 2, we pour libation. We pour libation to all those civilizations that came out of those 2. The ones who formed the sciences, the ones who formed the arts, the ones who looked up into the sky and recognized how nature works, how the skies work, how the seasons work, and learned how to grow food and feed their families and communities. To them, we pour libation. Ashe. We pour libation to all those communities that sprung up, all those communities that were having babies and raising families, and we're teaching them about the land. We're teaching them about language and communication. We're teaching them the mathematics that our people came up with. To them, we pour libation. We pour libation to all those who were moving along, minding their business, when all of a sudden, the ma'afa, someone came, strangers came and ripped their families apart, ripped their communities apart, and stole some of them across the seas to what became Americas. To them, we pour libation. We pour libation to those who made it across the Middle Passage. We pour libation to those who threw themselves over the edge of the ships. We pour libation to those who had to kill their babies so their babies would not go into the enslavement. We pour libation to those who fought, struggled, killed, died. To them, we pour libation. We pour libation to those who made it across to the other side and began new lives. They began to reshape their culture, which had been stolen away. They began to reshape their religions, which had been stolen away. They began to speak new languages, which had been stolen away. But yet, they still had the drum. So to them, we pour libation. We pour libation to those who unfortunately were enslaved, those who fought for freedom, to those who made it through. To them, we pour libation. We pour libation to those who are still fighting, those of us who are still struggling to express our freedom, to express who we are as African people. To us, we pour libation. And you may want to call the names of those on whose shoulders you stand, who made you possible. So call their names so we can honor them today. Ashe. Ashe.
Will and Catherine Jones.
Ashe. Ashe. Curly Perms. Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
Malcolm X.
Ashe. Martin Luther King Jr. Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
Mary McLeod.
Ashe. Harriet Tubman. Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
Reverend C.T. Vivian.
Ashe.
Rosa Parks.
Ashe. Dr. Isi Sanyika. Ashe. 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 Lisa Rasat Williams. Ashe. Ashe.
Amelia Boynton Robinson.
Ashe. And to those who are coming after us, the babies who are yet unborn, who will stand on our shoulders, who will stand on your shoulders, we're pouring libation to them too. Ashe. 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 Oh.
community now?
They Women in Training, they Brianna and Brooke. 3 things they need. One is volunteer support. We need experts in every possible area you can think of. We need help with marketing, website development, video production to tell our story. Because when we tell our story, we raise money. We need the money to provide these products and to do these workshops. We're taking the girls, we're doing a STEM program, STEM initiative. We're taking a group of girls to Washington, D.C. We need money for the airfare tickets, for the hotels. Yeah. So we need money all the time.
Right.
So we need professionals to help us tell our story. We need people to help us with IT skills, with budgeting. You name it, we need it. So men and women. Secondly, we need help every month. We have to pack these kits, 500 kits a month. It's exhausting. Maybe that's not the right word. We are doing it because we want to do it. Obviously, we want to do it because it's something they came up with. But it's it takes time. So we need help. It's just a manual task of packing these kits every month and delivering them. Because so we need a facility. So instead of us driving around to all these different locations, people can come to our one place. But we don't have a one place.
Right.